The year is 2022, a year that will be remembered for its geopolitical upheavals and the dramatic shifts in global alliances. Russia launches a full-scale invasion of Ukraine, sending shockwaves across the globe and igniting a conflict that would draw in nations far and wide. The world watches in shock and condemnation, as images of destruction and human suffering flood the media. Western nations respond with unprecedented sanctions, targeting the heart of the Russian economy, aiming to send a clear message of disapproval. These sanctions aim to cripple Russia's financial system, isolate it from global trade, and pressure the Kremlin to reconsider its actions. The measures are sweeping, affecting various sectors from banking to technology. The world divides into two camps, those who support the sanctions and those who remain neutral, creating a new geopolitical landscape. The sanctions are wide-ranging and severe, impacting everyday life in Russia and causing significant economic disruptions. They target Russian banks, businesses, and individuals, aiming to cut off the lifelines of the Russian economy. Access to international payment systems is cut off, forcing Russians to revert to cash transactions and creating a financial bottleneck. Exports of key technologies are banned, stifling innovation and halting the flow of critical components needed for various industries. The intent is clear: to impose a heavy cost on Russia for its aggression, hoping to force a change in its policies. The West hopes these measures will swiftly bring Russia to its knees, believing that economic pressure will lead to political change. However, Russia proves more resilient than anticipated, with its people and economy showing remarkable adaptability. The Kremlin, anticipating these actions, had been quietly fortifying its economy for years, building a buffer against such external shocks. It had built up its foreign currency reserves and reduced its reliance on Western debt, creating a financial cushion to absorb the impact. This foresight would prove crucial in mitigating the initial impact of the sanctions, allowing Russia to maintain a degree of economic stability. The stage is set for a high-stakes economic battle, with both sides digging in for a prolonged confrontation. The West is determined to exert maximum pressure on Russia, using every tool at its disposal to force a change in behavior. Russia, in turn, is equally determined to weather the storm and find ways to circumvent the restrictions, seeking new trade partners and alternative markets. A new term emerges in the global lexicon: parallel economy, describing the unofficial channels through which Russia continues to conduct business. This shadow market, operating outside the bounds of traditional financial systems and trade routes, would become Russia's lifeline, ensuring the flow of goods and services despite the sanctions. The sanctions imposed by the West send shockwaves through the Russian economy. Businesses scramble to adapt to the new reality. The value of the ruble plummets. Imports of essential goods are disrupted. Panic buying erupts in supermarkets. The initial shock is undeniable. However, the Russian government swiftly moves to stabilize the situation. It imposes capital controls to prevent the flight of currency. It introduces measures to support the ruble. And most importantly, it turns to a network of alternative trading partners and mechanisms. A parallel economy begins to take shape. This shadow market operates outside the purview of Western sanctions. It relies on barter systems, informal networks, and a willingness to bend the rules. Goods that are no longer available through official channels find their way into Russia through circuitous routes. The parallel economy is not without its costs. Prices for many goods rise, reflecting the increased risks and complexities of these alternative supply chains. The quality of some products is questionable, as counterfeit goods proliferate. Yet for many Russians, the parallel economy becomes a lifeline, providing access to goods that would otherwise be unavailable. The term parallel imports enters the common parlance, becoming a buzzword in economic discussions. But what exactly does it mean? How does it impact the everyday consumer and the broader market? Essentially, parallel imports refer to the importation of goods without the authorization of the trademark holder. This practice is often seen in markets where there are significant price differences. These goods are legally acquired in one market, often where prices are lower or restrictions fewer, and then imported into another market like Russia, where they are sold at a markup. This creates a unique dynamic in the marketplace. Recognizing the need to ensure the continued flow of goods into the country, the Russian government takes a bold step. This decision is driven by the necessity to stabilize the market and provide for its citizens. It legalizes parallel imports for a wide range of products, effectively opening the doors to a new wave of goods entering the market. This move effectively allows Russian businesses to circumvent Western sanctions by sourcing goods from alternative markets. It's a strategic maneuver to keep the economy afloat. The list of goods approved for parallel imports is extensive and includes everything from cars and heavy machinery to electronics, clothing, and pharmaceuticals. This broad range ensures that essential and luxury items alike can still reach consumers.
This measure is necessary to protect consumers from shortages and price gouging. It aims to maintain a semblance of normalcy in the market.
The legalization of parallel imports creates a legal gray area, blurring the lines between authorized and unauthorized goods. Western companies that have suspended operations in Russia find themselves in a bind. They face the challenge of their products entering the market without their consent. They can no longer control the flow of their products into the country, losing a significant degree of market control. They are also unable to enforce their intellectual property rights, as parallel imports often involve the circumvention of trademark and copyright laws. This creates a complex legal landscape that both businesses and consumers must navigate. The consumer electronics market provides a compelling illustration of how parallel imports are reshaping the Russian economy. This phenomenon is not just a fleeting trend, but a significant shift in how goods are distributed and consumed in a country facing international sanctions. Apple and Samsung, two of the world's leading smartphone manufacturers, suspend shipments to Russia in response to the invasion of Ukraine and the ensuing sanctions. This decision left a noticeable void in the market as these brands were immensely popular among Russian consumers. Their gleaming stores, once symbols of Western consumerism, are shuttered. The once bustling shopping districts now have an eerie quietness, reflecting the broader economic impact of the sanctions. However, Russian consumers' desire for iPhones and Galaxy phones does not vanish overnight. The allure of these high-end devices, known for their cutting-edge technology and sleek designs, remains strong. Demand for these coveted devices remains high, fueled by a combination of brand loyalty, product familiarity, and the status these brands confer. Enter the parallel importers, who see an opportunity to fill the gap left by the official channels. Through a network of intermediaries, distributors, and resellers, iPhones and Galaxy phones begin to reappear in Russian shops. These parallel importers navigate complex logistics to bring these devices back into the hands of eager consumers. These devices are sourced from markets where Apple and Samsung continue to operate, often at lower prices due to currency fluctuations or differences in taxation. This intricate web of supply chains ensures that the demand is met, albeit at a higher cost.
I bought my Apple Watch through a parallel importer. It was a bit more expensive, but at least I could still get it. The process was straightforward and the device works perfectly. It was a bit more expensive, but at least I could still get it. Despite the higher price, the convenience and availability made it worth the extra cost.
The parallel import of electronics is not without its drawbacks. While it provides access to desired products, it also introduces new challenges for consumers. Prices are generally higher than they were before the war, reflecting the increased costs of sourcing and transportation. This price hike can be a significant burden for many consumers. Warranty support is also an issue, as Apple and Samsung are unable to service devices that were not officially imported through their authorized channels. This lack of official support can be a major drawback for consumers who value after-sales service. Yet the presence of these brands in the Russian market underscores the resilience of consumer demand and the adaptability of supply chains in the face of adversity. It highlights how consumer behavior and market dynamics can evolve rapidly in response to external pressures.
So, with the sanctions in place, many companies are looking for alternative routes to keep their businesses running.
That's right. Dubai and China have emerged as crucial hubs in this evolving global trade network.
Absolutely. Dubai's strategic location and China's manufacturing prowess are playing significant roles in facilitating these new supply chains.
And, it's not just about finding new suppliers, it's about creating a resilient network that can withstand future disruptions.
Yeah, and it's fascinating to see how quickly businesses are adapting to these changes, isn't it?
It sure is. The flexibility and innovation shown by companies worldwide are truly remarkable.
And this shift is not just temporary. It's likely to reshape global trade for years to come.
Indeed, the landscape of international commerce is changing, and it's a transformation that's happening right before our eyes.
Exactly. It's a new era for global trade, driven by necessity and powered by innovation.
European businesses have had to innovate and adapt to maintain their operations amidst the sanctions. This has involved finding new suppliers, re-evaluating logistics, and sometimes even changing their product lines. The ethical considerations of sanctions are complex. Western companies face a moral dilemma, balancing between adhering to their home country's policies and the unintended consequences on the ground. For many Russian consumers like Zoya, parallel imports have become a lifeline. Despite the higher costs and potential risks, these imports provide access to products that have become scarce due to sanctions. The effectiveness of sanctions is a topic of ongoing debate. As countries and businesses adapt, the landscape continues to evolve, reflecting the resilience and ingenuity of those affected.